Welcome to Coruzant Technologies, home of the Digital Executive Podcast.
Welcome to the Digital Executive. Today's guest is Chad Peterson. Chad Peterson is an expert business broker and the founder of Peterson Acquisitions, an award-winning mergers and acquisition firm. Chad's firm handles transactions from $1 million to $25 million, with some deals exceeding $25 million. He works with companies all over the United States and has completed international deals as well. Peterson Acquisitions was recently named as the #1 ranked business broker in the United States. What sets Chad apart from all of the business brokers is his aggressive style, work ethic, and tenacity that are rooted in his humble beginnings. Chad is a self-made entrepreneur that has been in the trenches. He has started, built, and sold 6 of his own businesses. Chad wrote the book From Blue to White, A Working Man's Guide to Self-Employment, and the foreword written by best-selling author Scott Alexander of Rhinoceros Success. He also wrote the book Swinging Doors, A Guide to Selling Your Company, and the host of the podcast Business Brokers Buying, Selling, and Growing Your Business.
Well, good afternoon, Chad. Welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me on.
Awesome, Chad. I appreciate it. And it was really cool, Chad. We chatted obviously before we got on the recording here, but I traverse the globe. I've done podcasts in 33 countries, but what's really, really cool, and I love going across the world, but I get to sit across the table from you or the virtual mic and speak to you in Kansas City, which is awesome, my hometown. And I'm just glad that I'm able to have somebody on Kansas City that's on the podcast again. So thank you again. I do appreciate it.
Yeah, I'm glad to be here. I like to be on podcasts with people like yourself who are reaching out there and touching people and influencing people and educating people on what's going on out there. So I'm glad to be here.
Awesome, Chad. Love what you're doing out there. So we'll get into that. We're going to jump right into the questions. You've got quite the career as a serial entrepreneur, and now you're the founder and CEO of Peterson Acquisitions, #1 broker in the country. Could you share with our audience the secret to your career growth and what inspires you?
The secret to my career growth was simply hard work and realizing that if it was meant to be, it was up to me. And what that means is that I didn't rely on the public school system. I didn't rely on college. I didn't rely on the corporate ladder. I didn't do all that. I immediately relied upon me and myself only. And I went out there and I built companies and I sold them since I was a little boy. I built them, sold them, built them, sold them. And through that was a lot of expansion and a lot of contraction. And what inspired me to do it was simply that, being my own man, being on my own time, doing what I wanted without the constraint of corporate America or the guidelines that somehow is secretly imposed on us. And I went out there and just busted my ass, worked hard, built companies, sold them. And somewhere along the way, I got nudged, by God, by spirit, by whatever, I got nudged to do it for other people. And so I totally switched my career to focus on helping other people sell their business after they had already built them. And I've done very, very well. And my work has been mentioned almost in every publication out there. And I've been ranked the #1 broker in the country. And I've written a book called Swinging Doors, A Guide to Selling Your Business. And I would say what keeps me inspired is that very same thing today, is that I'm doing this on my own, without constraint, without chains and locks around me that the corporate world seems to have. And so I'm my own man, doing how I want, and without bosses or limitations.
That's amazing. And I appreciate your entrepreneurial spirit, to get out there and, like you said, break the locks, break the chains, to just be free of the corporate structure. And what we're taught in college is it's night and day. When you leave college, they don't teach you all this stuff. The School of Hard Knocks probably teaches the most. So I appreciate you sharing that story. So, Chad, let's jump into this pandemic, right? It's starting to lift. Hopefully we'll go back to some sort of normalcy and we'll learn from it, hopefully. But what's your plans for business growth going forward? And will it be different than the last 15 months?
Well, I think it will be. I think we've got 2 things ahead of us. If I'm answering it as authentically as possible, I think we've got 2 things that are ahead of us. We've got inflation on the rise. We've got gas prices on the rise. We've got an economy that's going to be tightening up. We were supposed to have a correction in the market before Trump got in, and the Trump bump and then the Trump train was here. Everybody knows, whether you like him or hate him, everybody knows this economy was screaming when he was in office. We've got a border problem. We've got inflation problems. We've got governmental problems across the board. Who knows where that's going to head? We've got capital gains coming to 44%. And in my industry, 44%, if you sold your business for $1 million and you had to pay the government $440,000 so they could manage your money, however they see fit, you don't really want to sell. So my business is going to get hit really hard by this administration. 44% capital gains tax is literally unbelievable. It's the most liberal, progressive capital gains tax hike in history. And then on the other hand, you've got an economy that is screaming to get back together. So it's going to be interesting to see how that collides, because there are so many people that are pissed off at this Corona thing. They want to travel. They want to go places. They want to spend money. They want to be part of the economy. If anybody grew up through if anybody survived rather through the 2008 crisis, that was pretty tough because everybody clammed up.
Mm-hmm.
That was the real problem, is that whenever 2008 happened, everybody got tight. Well, now we've got an economic problem on the horizon, but everybody's ready to unleash because of the constraints put on them from COVID. So it'll be interesting how it plays out.
Thank you for sharing that. And I agree, we've got some things on the horizon that don't look so great. And I hope that we can get the economy back to at least some likeness of what it was a couple of years back. So thank you for sharing that. And Chad, this is a technology platform. So I wanted to check with you, see if maybe you're leveraging any new emerging technologies out there within your business. But if not, maybe there's a cool tool or app you found that was useful for you.
Well, I mean, I live out of MailChimp, and I live out of LeadMaster CRM. I mean, I think nowadays, if you're not on a CRM that's keeping track of your every move, I think you're behind the times. And between LeadMaster, CRM, and MailChimp, that's what keeps me organized.
That's awesome. And I think you're absolutely right, especially the business you're in. You've got to be constantly churning and making sure that people are really knowing what's going on and what's out there, because you're trying to help people sell their business. So I appreciate that. So Chad, last thing here, could you share something from your career experience that might be helpful for those looking to grow their career either in leadership or entrepreneurship?
Well, the biggest thing I would tell people, if you want to grow a business, you have to be able to withstand pain. And we all do things for some pleasure. But if you're not ready to withstand the pain that it takes to get there, you're just not fit for the wear. And, the 40-hour work week is over. So if you really want to be successful, it's like Elon Musk. He said it really simple. He said, I work over 100 hours a week. You can only get so much done in 40. So, I mean, it's just that simple. If you really want to win, you really want to be the top of your industry, you really want to be the top dog, you want to really make a business happen, you want to become a great leader, whether it be your church or business or community or whatever, you got to work. And that's what it takes. So hard work garners luck. That's what I say.
You're right. And that's what really luck is really basically building your future. You're in control of that, and people don't realize they feel it's some sort of, kismet or something, and things just happen happenstance. So I do appreciate the share on that. And Chad, it was a pleasure having you on today, and I look forward to speaking with you real soon.
Thank you for having me, and likewise.
Bye for now.